You might be surprised that you're low. And then you might be surprised that once you restore your vitamin D, you feel a lot better.
Wow.
So let's jump into that. And I hope my alarm clock doesn't go off again. And if it does, I'm sorry. We're live. I'm gonna turn it. I'm gonna try to keep it from doing that. But so let's jump into 5 signs that you may be low with vitamin D. And we're talking about our hair. So I'm going to make sure that we also have you understand how important vitamin D is to your hair. But let's get into 5 signs.
Okay.
One of them is that you're tired all the time, and not just like a little sleepy, but exhausted, and you don't know why. You slept and now you wake up tired, you go to bed tired, you're tired. And that is a sign that your vitamin D is low. Another sign is your mood changes. Now, I laugh at this because as females, we have some mood changes depending on what part of the month, time of the month, there's some moods going on, right? So my vitamin D is up to par, and sometimes I want everybody to leave me alone, but nobody's bothering me, right? So, but if your mood is had like you feel more anxious, and your mood, you just know, okay, this isn't normal.
Yeah, something is off.
Yeah, so check your vitamin D. Also, a weakened immune system. So that goes back to our cellular health. If you're sick all the time, achy, check that vitamin D. Then we have muscle. So if you have like a weak grip or your muscles feel achy or weak, that is a sign. The bones, that goes without saying. If you have achy bones, that's a sign. And then lastly, if your hair is falling out.
Yes.
If your hair is falling out. Now, when it comes to hair, our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. So what is going on inside has so much to do with what is happening. So when we think about, and I know you have phenomenal products, which are definitely important for the hair. When you have good products for the outside, and then you are putting the good stuff in your body, then you are, I would say your hair is going to thank you, and it'll show up in your hair. I'm going to go back to the vitamin D in the hair, but I also want to say stress, we also know is not always favorable for the hair. So when I say what's going on inside will show up on the outside. But with regards to vitamin D, if your vitamin D is low, and I'll explain what low is, but when it is low, deficient, then you can experience unnecessary hair loss. And a lot of people don't know that. I was saying to you before, I often wear my hair wrapped up where you can't even see it. And I thought, well, we're going to talk about hair. So I want to have my hair out, right? So it's like, how am I going to talk about hair? And you're like, does she have hair? Like, what's going on? Yes. And I pride myself on having strong, healthy hair. And it is, I have locks, and I've had them for almost 19 years, and they're all the way down, almost past my tushy. But my hair is strong and healthy because I take good care of my inner self as well as my outer self and what I put on it. But as far as the hair and the vitamin D, very, very important to maintain that, because the cells and the follicles and parts that are responsible for growth is not getting what it needs if your vitamin D is not up to par.
You are absolutely right. Vitamin D is something that I encourage women to get checked. Like if you're dealing with hair loss, or if you go to a dermatologist and if they give you suggestions as to what you can do topically to your hair, make sure that you check the inside too. Don't just focus on external, focus on what's internal. And just vitamin D being low, Deborah made a comment. She said she's been on a 24-week high vitamin D regimen. Her level
Mhm.
was so low that her surgery was postponed. Now, when I read that comment, I thought, wow, her surgery was postponed until her values, her vitamin D levels actually went up. Her surgery was postponed because her vitamin D was so low.
Yeah, because part of your healing and your immune system, right, is needs your vitamin D levels to be in a good space. And think about that. And I would just say, and those that are listening, please go get your vitamin D levels checked whenever you get your physical, because sometimes your doctor will not check it, will
Right.
not ask you. I don't know why, but they won't. And you want to be proactive and be your own advocate to make sure that it is getting checked. A question that comes up, and then if Karen, if there are questions, let me know and I'll make sure to answer them.
Okay,
But
yeah, we have several, but you can go. I'm gonna make sure we get to the questions.
okay, one of the questions that I always get is, well, where should my vitamin levels be?
Yes, that's actually a question that
That's a
someone asked.
question.
Okay.
And so I'm going to answer it this way, because the question is, what should my levels be? And then how much should I take? So I'm going to answer it this way. What should your levels be? So 30, we're just going to use the word 30 is the minimum. So if you were below 30, then you are deficient. So I've heard people in 9, 11,
Hmm,
or 19. That's really, really deficient. So that's when it's really in a danger zone, right? So when it's below 30. Now,
mhm,
if you're at 30, your doctor might not say you are deficient. They might say you're okay.
mhm,
You're not deficient, but you're at minimum, like minimum wage, right? So
uh-huh,
if you're working and you're making minimum wage, you can survive maybe, but you're not at the highest level. And that's the same with the vitamin D. If you're at 30, you're not deficient. But
mhm,
what I like to say is if you are in between the 60 and 80 range, then your body is maximally supported. So if you're in the 60 and 80 range, then your body is maximally supported. Then the question becomes, well, then how much should I take every day? And
mhm,
we're all very different. And so when I get those questions, I always say, I don't know
uh-huh,
you personally, but what you want to do is you want to take enough so that your blood levels are between the 60 and 80 range.
mhm,
When you're starting out, when you're starting out and you have no idea where you stand, if you're starting out, you're like, I don't know I don't know. I am my company. We make vitamin D, or vitamin D comes to the sun. We are a supplier of vitamin D, and we like to say start off at 2,500 IU's
mhm,
until you know where you are. That's a good baseline. I personally take 5,000 IU's because I know where my levels are. But if you don't know, then you start off at a minimum, and then when you know where you are and you know that you're low, then you want to kick it into gear and boost it up. So I personally take 5,000 IU's a day, and that keeps me in my vitamin D is like 65 range, and that keeps me in there. I'm kind of being nosy because I kind of can look at the questions,
Yeah,
but
look at the if you can see them, definitely. I think this question is very relevant to what you're talking about
yeah,
now in terms of being a dark-skinned woman standing in the
yes,
sun. So, in order to receive vitamin D and which type of vitamin D is needed. So, how long must a dark-skinned person stay in the sun
the
in order
sun.
to get vitamin D, and which type of vitamin D is needed for optimal health? And I
Yes.
know you manufacture vitamin D. I take it. It's amazing. My vitamin D levels were low. They were at 31, which is, and according to the doctor, 31
Mhm.
is like, oh, that's within the range.
Yes, that's what I
No,
was
it's not
thinking.
enough to be in the range. It needs to be
Mhm.
optimal, which is what you said between that 60 and 80 is perfect.
Yes.
But what type of vitamin D? You can definitely talk about that and even talk
Yeah.
about
So I
yours.
wrote down what
Okay.
type. I wrote down if your skin is darker. And so let me first tell you where vitamin D is comes from.
Okay.
It's called a vitamin, but it's really a hormone in nature and how it behaves, and it is in the sun. There are some foods that have vitamin D. However, that is not the main source of vitamin D. So unlike other foods like vitamin A or vitamin B, you do get it out of food. Like you eat food and you get the majority of our vitamins. Vitamin D, however, is in the sun. And when you're in the sun, which a lot of us are not all
Mhm.
often enough, when you're in the sun, then the sun hits your skin. And then from that process happens like through the skin that the vitamin D is then made and triggered in your body. So,
Mhm.
first of all, most of us are not in the sun. There's times of the year where the sun is not as available. Then, if you have darker skin, so melanin in your skin, then that process is not as effective and efficient. So, the sun hits your skin, and if you have the darker skin, which is great, but then it doesn't allow for that vitamin D to do what it would do if you didn't have that melanin in your skin, which
Mhm.
then is why Black and brown folks are more deficient than others that do not have that protective melanin.
Okay.
So so then it is said that spending 10 to 15 minutes a day in the sun is good for all of us for the vitamin D and then also just for mood. I mean, it's an energy source. So we
Mhm.
would start with that. Supplementation really comes into play oftentimes, again, because we're not in the sun enough. We're not there 10 to 15 minutes a day. And then, even then, with that, it still may not be enough. But if you want to test to see by being in the sun 10 to 15 minutes a day, what that does to you, because we're also different, our
Mhm.
skin tones are different. You would have to see for yourself, start with 10 to 15 minutes and see what that does to you and for you. The question was what type of vitamin D. So there's D2 and D3, and D3 is the form that is best absorbed and most effective. D2 is, you won't see a lot of D2. D3 is the more available and prominent one. D2 comes out of plants, mushrooms. So it's more of a
Uh,
plant-based form. There's also now a plant-based form of the D3, but D3 is the recommended form that is best for the body and best absorbed. So I think I'm kind of looking at it. I think I answered. Did I answer
no,
the
you did
question?
great. You did great. And I think you answered this question as well. Someone wanted to know what are some of the
Yeah.
foods rich in vitamin
Right.
D.
So
But
some of the foods you would find egg yolk, salmon, so your fatty fish, mushrooms are all vitamin D rich foods. But again, vitamin D is one of those vitamins, really a hormone that's not the primary source, where even if you're eating these foods, it's usually not enough to get that vitamin D levels at a the proper level. The sun does. So there's people who, let's say, if they're in the sun, they're a lifeguard, they're
Mhm.
outside hours a day, then they usually are getting enough. But if you are a lifeguard with darker skin and you were midlife, you probably need to supplement, because as we age, that also is another factor in making it more difficult to get enough that we need. The older we get, the more we need in order to maintain and support the body that's constantly changing as we're getting older or better, however we should phrase that.
Mhm.
But that is where supplementation comes in. Can you take too much? Yes, you can. It's rare. You'd have to take a whole lot. I've seen it happen a few times. And so when you're taking too much, your blood levels. So when I said you want to keep your blood levels between 60 and 80, when you're toxic, you're over like 150. So people are taking Oh, goodness, a lot, like just too much. I personally never recommend anybody taking more than 5,000 IU's, but I've had customers where their doctor told them they need to take 10,000 IU's a day, and that's what then they take that. But 5,000 is a safe level for us to maintain. Again, some people need more. That's not for me to decide, but taking too much, yeah, it can happen. Not very often, but it can happen.
What about 50,000 IU's? This is what Bianca wants to know.
Yeah, so
One 50,000 once a week, is that
in a
safe?
week, yeah. So that's usually what if your doctor will. It's called a mega dose because your vitamin D is so low that they're wanting to get it enough in your body to raise it. And so vitamin D stores. So when I say take your vitamin D every day, you could not take it every day. You could take it once a week and
Mhm.
it's still the equivalent. So if you're recommended to take 50,000 IU's in a week, then you could just take it once a week. I just take it every day because it's just part of my routine. But yes, that is it's called a mega dose. And so a lot of times when you're taking 50,000 in a week, they want you just to hurry up and get your levels up, and then you would taper off to do like about 5,000 a day so that it can get into your system. But that's a mega dose, and that meant you were really low. Yep.
Okay. I want to make sure that you talk a little bit about your company. We have more questions. Don't get me.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
to talk a little bit about your company and where people can get your vitamin D. And heard that vitamin D, y'all, is awesome.
Yeah.
I
Thank
have it.
you. Thank you for asking. So Necessary Nutrition is my company, and we have been a supplier of vitamin D going on 15 years. So I thought, well, I love to say that because it's true. So 15 years ago, so 2009 is when we brought our brand of vitamin D to the forefront. And a lot of times people just go to the store and buy a vitamin D. And I get asked this a lot. How is your vitamin D different from the vitamin D that I can find in stores? And I love to answer that question. So let me say how Necessary Nutrition's vitamin D is different. Now, there are so many brands of vitamin D, so I don't know them all, but I can only speak to what ours is. So one of the things is that we focus on vitamin D with K2. So that's our signature combination. And K2, and I believe most of us are women in midlife, the K helps to get the dietary calcium. So the calcium we're eating, not taking calcium supplementation, but the calcium that is coming from our food, it helps to drive that calcium combined with the D to
Mhm.
our bones and helps with preventing an osteoporosis and all of those things. So we focus on mostly women over 40 and the men that love them. That
Mhm.
is our primary focus. But our D has K2. However, you would not take K2 if you are on a blood thinning medication
Mhm.
or you have any kidney disease. So in that case, you would just have our vitamin D without K2. So one of our signature products is with K2. It's more effective for us in midlife. Also, whenever our customers buy from us, it comes with quarterly classes because I'm a nutritionist. I love to educate, and it comes with a complimentary membership to what's called the Necessary Nutrition Academy. So we just had a class called Stop Hormonal Mayhem.
Ooh.
All of the classes are specifically curated for women in midlife so that we can live our best, healthiest life. So that comes with it, that comes complimentary with it. The other two things that makes us different is usually vitamin D companies are not Black owned. I am Black, so that's different. Um, and then we also feature some organic materials in our vitamin D. And then coming like next week, we'll have a full organic form, vegetarian form. And then I'm a nutritionist. So when you buy from us, it's not like you're just buying something off of the shelf. I am there and our team is there to answer questions and support you and get to know you. So those are some of the differences. And can be found at necessaryvitamind.com. Necessaryvitamind.com.
I got it on the screen, y'all. It's very easy to remember, necessaryvitamind.com.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you,
Yes,
thank you,
thank
thank you
you.
for
You're
sharing that.
welcome.
We have some more. I think you may have answered this, but some people are joining us a little later. So, hey,
Okay.
Miss Tara. Hey, Tara. Wants to know what testing do you have to done to figure out the vitamin D level? Somebody else asked this question as well,
Okay.
just in terms of the accuracy of
Of it.
blood work.
So the best is to go and get your blood work drawn with your primary. There's some tests that you can buy online or what have you, but just when you go to get your primary, just ask them to do your blood panel and run vitamin D with it. So along with all the other your blood work, let that be in there. So it's a
Oh,
blood test. And the other question is people say, okay, if my vitamin D is low, how long does it take for it to raise?
mhm,
So 4 months is a good amount of time for most of the things that are going on in your body, because 4 months is when our cells regenerate and rejuvenate. So if and not to say that it couldn't raise in 2 months, but if you give yourself 4 months,
mhm,
then and go and retest, then you should see an improvement. Here's the deal. Let's say you have low vitamin D, 4 months later, is you're taking it, you're faithful, and it's not did not raise. Well, you want to look at the quality of the product that you're taking, but then also if that be the case and you're taking a good quality and it doesn't raise, then that tells you that you have an absorption challenge and that there may be some gut challenges going on with your microbiome and not being able to absorb the nutrition. And that's important for you to know, right? So all of that, if it's not sticking, then you want to then further investigate, okay, what is going on with my gut health that is not allowing the vitamin D to stay and to stick. That's important. Oh, I want to say this too about the quality of product. So a lot of times the supplements are not regulated, so anybody can make anything, honestly, and you just can't. There's no regulations when you are wanting to make sure you're getting quality. So we have certifications that say that what's in the bottle is true, and it costs more to make sure that you have that. So sometimes companies want to cut those corners and not have that, and because the consumers are none the wiser, so they don't really know.
mhm,
And then also the this is important. Like for me, I do not eat pork. And
mhm,
so a lot of the vitamin D traditionals, the casing is a gelatin casing that could be made from pork. And if you, for whatever reason, you don't do pork and you
mhm,
don't know that, but you're getting that in your body, that may not be suitable for you. And so that is something to note. So obviously, we don't have any pork in our products at all, but that casing. And then also, this is like the technical side, but there's this thing called an excipient. And so that's fillers and binders to keep the
mhm.
vitamin D and help it to do what it wants to do. So there's cheaper materials to do that. And so and y'all can look at products that you have. If some of your products say magnesium stearate, that can have adverse digestive effects on some people. So what we changed to was organic rice hull as an excipient, which means that it's better for our bodies and it doesn't cause what the magnesium stearate could cause. Because sometimes people are taking supplements and having different issues, and then it's partly of how the supplement was made, and they don't know that. And
Oh,
so I like to really, really educate in a sincere, authentic way. Part of when Necessary Nutrition was created was because I started to understand what was being marketed and offered, and I didn't want that for me. And so I wanted to create a product that I would take, and then it went from there. So, yeah, there you go.
Oh, girl, these questions are rolling in. I
Okay.
want you to clarify this question in terms of the K2 use for those who have blood issues or kidney disease. And then I want to roll into, I have questions that's really specific to why is vitamin D good for hair?
Okay.
But
So the question about the K2, so K2 is a blood thinner. And if you are then taking a blood thinning medication, it can make that medication not do what it's supposed to do. And then if you have a kidney disease or you're on dialysis, then that also may be a challenge with the K2. So I would err on the side of caution, absolutely, and just take vitamin D without the K2. And then that is also where you would want to ask your doctor about it. So
okay.
that's, yeah. And then what does vitamin D do for your hair? Okay, so vitamin D for your hair, it helps it to not fall out. that
That's a
that
good
is
start.
that's it. So it helps it to not fall out. So our cells and our hair follicles and all the things that are going on in our scalp, there are vitamin D receptors that are in our the hair growth process that needs the vitamin D in order for our hair to behave. That's the simple way to say it. So when you don't have that, then you're compromised with your hair. And one
Mhm.
of the telltale signs of one of, and we talked about it earlier because I know people are coming on at different times, but one of the signs of a vitamin D deficiency is hair loss.
Right.
And like those that have like with alopecia or some hair challenges, you always and vitamin D, so hair loss is not always caused by the deficiency, but one of the signs of a deficiency is hair loss. But if
Mhm.
you have other challenges, i.e. alopecia or other things, vitamin D is still critical to help support the cells that are helping to produce your hair.
Hair.
It needs it.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's why, when I talk about people's treatment plans, when they're dealing with hair loss or slow growing hair, it's the vitamin D deficiency, like you said, may not be the cause, but when you are addressing the hair loss, you have to address everything, not
Yeah.
just everything that's going on within your body that may be contributing to your hair challenges. And vitamin D is definitely one of the things that
Is
should.
one of them. Yeah, it is. I know that I wanna make sure that are there any other questions that are out there?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, there's a
Uh,
lot of questions. And
yeah.
I wanna
Mhm,
say this, Karen, because I know that you and I are going to be together inside of your academy, and I
mhm.
wanna make it known that when we with inside of your academy, and you'll because people that are listening like academy, what are you talking about? They don't might not know, so make sure you say. But we're gonna go into a deeper dive about the foods. We're not doing it here, but we'll go into a deeper dive about the specific foods that are really, really important for
Right.
your hair growth, key foods that you must have if you are a woman in midlife. We're going to talk about the biggest mistakes that most women in midlife make when it comes to their nutrition and their hair and so much more. And I know that I just want to make that out that we're going to go into a deep dive. And people always ask questions of, well, what should I eat or what should
Mhm.
I do? And during that academy, because it's a smaller group, but we'll be able to get
Yeah,
deeper into the
yeah,
nutrition
yeah.
side of the
That's
health and the hair. So I wanted to
Jack,
say that.
thank you, thank you. I completely forgot about it. I was so engrossed with, listening to you about vitamin D. I'm like, "Oh god, I can keep listening to this. I can keep
You know,
listening to."
and I wanted to say that because I know that there's people that have so many questions, and so we won't be able to answer all the questions. And I know that that's how those that are listening can get a just a deeper understanding of all of these things
And
through
that's
the
why I have the academy, because I
yeah,
post a lot on YouTube like you. I could talk about this stuff all day, but on
yeah,
a YouTube video, it's only but so much you can do. It's only so much you
only
can say.
yeah,
YouTube videos are very general, and
very
sometimes people need more specific, customized treatment plans or hair regimens that's specific
correct,
to their hair challenge. And that's
correct.
in part why I developed Let's Get Growing, so that we can do you can come in and learn everything about hair and health. And it's
Yes.
specific to you because in the
Yeah.
class, you actually do leave with a customized treatment plan. So you're going to be in Let's Get Growing is the program she's referring to. And that's my program that relaunches on April 16th. But in that program, it is very specific to each person. And
Yes.
unlike a YouTube video, I show up just like this, talking
Got
about
it.
everything hair related. So if you all are interested in that program, the next program starts on April 16th, and Miss Robin is our nutritionist, and she will be
Yes.
all things nutrition,
Yes.
including we will definitely do a deep dive. So right
We
now that
will. And
is
I know that new people came on, and I had said that our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. So our hair, our skin, all of those things have so much to do with what we eat, what we think.
right.
And I'm excited to connect with those that will be in the academy so we can get just deeper into that, because all of us want our hair to be healthy and vibrant, and we want to feel that way,
Yeah.
especially as we grow older. And I'm all for it. I am all for it.
Yes. As we age, that's why the program is really designed for women 40 and up. Because I feel
Yeah.
like once you hit 40 and up, your body
Does
goes through
some
some
different
changes.
things. It
It's some stuff
does.
going on that wasn't going on in my 30s, and definitely stuff I didn't even think about in my 20s. So your
Yeah.
body goes through some changes, which is why, as I said earlier, for new people coming on, I encourage people to grow differently, like take a
Wow.
different approach
It's a
um,
different
to
approach.
your health and your hair growth. And you said it, I wrote it down. It was good. The outer world reflects the inner world.
Yeah,
The
it does.
outer world is a reflection of the inner world. I say healthy hair begins within. It's all the same thing.
I think because I used to, and I do not do this anymore. When I started uh, 15, 16 years ago, I was more of like a weight loss coach.
Excellent.
And I do not do that because losing weight is a side effect or a symptom or a result of basically eating and thinking a certain way. And it got real complicated because it was like it's just so much deeper than that. And I love just focusing on what we're physically eating and mentally eating, and then let that play out as it does. And then the side effect then is the releasing of the weight, but that ain't the focus.
Right.
Yeah,
Also,
it's like
you
that's
have
the focus.
how you evolved in my last session, my last cohort, that was the beginning of this year. I told you I actually had someone in that program, Let's Get Growing
Yeah,
cohort, that actually knew who you were for weight loss. And I thought, well, you haven't taught weight loss
yes.
here. So you've been around for a long time and you have
Long
been
time.
evolving as well. So that's
Yeah, because I'm grateful for that. And I just know that our lives are so complicated and complex. And just like with the hair, when a lot of times when with hair is people want just only to know, or they think, what can I put on my hair? Which is
yeah,
definitely important. But it's
right.
also, well, what do I put in my body too?
Yes,
And so
yes.
I love how comprehensive your academy is, because it's holistic. It's not just one thing, because we talked about it before. It's almost like doing a person a disservice when you don't go a deeper dive into what is the root cause of the hair loss, and
Mhm.
then giving customized solutions based on what's going on. Because even we know a person, if they have high stress, that's a issue that can take the hair out, right?
Right.
And if you're just saying, oh, what should I wash my hair with, or what drop should I put on, or what have you, but you have a very, very stressful life, which a lot of us do, you would be doing a disservice. And that's what I love about you, is you're not wanting to do a disservice to
Yeah,
anyone. You want to
no, it,
give
yeah.
them,
Yeah, it is
yes,
just more. Even though I have a product line, I am not that person that will just push a product. I just can't do it. It's just like,
yeah.
oh, I can't
We
do it. So much. The
we
products have their place. Yes, they have
yeah,
their place, but it's
I'm the
so.
same. I think you and I connected that way, because people always ask me, always they say, well, what supplements should I take? Or what can I take to do XYZ? And I will tell everybody your first line of defense is to shift the way that you are eating and thinking. And I will always keep saying thinking because that has so much to do with all kinds of outcomes. And often we just want to have a quick fix or a pill or a thing. And physical food is important, mental food is important, and supplementation comes after you
Mhm.
have touched on the first part of it. I would say this about vitamin D is, and I said this before, unlike other vitamins, the A's and the B's and the E's and all of those things, the vitamin D primarily is sourced out of the sun, which is why it's like not a true vitamin, because true vitamins, you can eat them
Right.
and see that change. Vitamin D is one of the I do not recommend a lot of supplements. That's one of them
Mhm.
because of that fact of where it comes from. And there's a barrier to entry if you have darker skin. But the root of so many of what is going on is how we are fueling our body and absorbing the nutrients. Because also, if you're not and I said this, if you're not absorbing, then the nutrition is not going where it needs to go. It's not going to your hair, it's not going to your skin, it's not going to your bloodstream. That's another thing in how you take a thing, because there's some nutrients that are what's called bioavailable. I just did something. I touched something. Karen, what did I do? Can you still
I
see me okay? Oh, there I
I see
am. Okay.
you. I see you and hear you.
Okay, I touched something and it went off the screen. There's what's called bioavailable. There's some nutrients or even some supplements that have to go through your digestive tract. And if you have a digestive system that doesn't work well, then you don't absorb well. And then nutrients that are what's called bioavailable go right through your bloodstream and are more
Right.
efficient and effective in getting you what you need. Yeah. Can you believe the time is almost up? Like,
Yes, let me see what time it is. Okay, we have about 10 minutes, so let's get in a few more questions. I know I'll have you back.
yes,
This is a very, very good
yes.
session. But a few people asked about vitamin D and liquid. This person asked about liquid iron together. Somebody else asked about ferritin levels. So ferritin is just,
Iron.
iron
Yeah.
store. Yeah. So
So
can you put vitamin D and liquid iron together?
and like so generally, this is what I always would tell people. You always want to check, and this is just the standard canned response, is you always want to check with your doctor if they have prescribed a thing for you, just to
Okay.
make sure there is no complications or challenges. Because sometimes there are medical grades of a thing that have some reactions. So I would hate to say, like, just off the cuff that it's fine, right? But you still want to check with your doctor if they have prescribed a certain thing for you.
Okay.
Um, that would be my answer for that. Yep.
Okay. And then quick question. Do you think vitamin D can help with extremely dry hair?
Can it help with extremely dry hair? So I would want to say, when people ask questions that are, well, that one's not as specific, but
Mhm.
start with a lot of water, hydration
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
body. And so when your hair is, and this actually could be a question for you, Karen, as far as extremely dry hair, what would be the your first go-to for that? So hydration
Hydration is
literally
yeah.
is what.
Hydration first thing. Um,
Yes, hydration first thing, yes,
yeah.
because
Hyd
there is a hierarchy. So if your hair was falling out, then we would say, "Okay, let's look at that vitamin D," and then also look at that vitamin D because it touches all the other things. But when we're talking about dry and
yeah.
hydration, then we're looking at, are you getting enough water, hydration in your body? So I would start with
Yeah.
that.
That
Yep.
that's that is my thing. For those of you who know me, like Miss Lanaya, she knows I'm all about you got dry
Oh, she
hair.
does
I don't say put
trees.
no product on your hair. The first thing is I say is, are you drinking water? Are you drinking 2 to 3 liters of water a day? That's number one when it comes to dry hair. Like,
Can you hear this water running all of a sudden in the background? Do you hear it?
can you hear this over here on the side? Yeah,
We
I
have
hear it.
I grow my produce inside, and so when you said water, like the water just started coming because it's a aeroponic. Yeah, yeah. I was like the water, so that's a cue. Like drink, and
That is
actually,
that. Yes. Oh gosh, you so remind me of me. I got three very good questions. I'm going to get in all at once, so you might want to
okay.
write them down.
Let me see if where's
Okay,
my pen? Okay, go for
they're
it.
really quick. Is what is the best time of day to take vitamin D?
Okay.
The next one is which is more important, vitamin D or iron? And the last question is does iron anemia hinder vitamin D absorption for the body or the hair?
Say the last question again.
It's on the screen. Does iron anemia, hinder vitamin D absorption for the body? So if someone is dealing with anemia, and then I think you can wrap those up really quickly.
Yeah, so the time of the day, it matters as long as you're consistent. So it doesn't matter. It just matters if it's the time of the day that you can be consistent. So pick the time of the day that you will take it.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
makes
So
sense.
some people take it in the morning because I always take mine in the morning because that's just my protocol and how I do it. And then the second one, I just wrote down iron and vitamin D. So I'm going to see if I could just say this. Well, what's more important?
Mhm.
They're not more important than the other, but so let me say this. If you have very, very low iron, that will make you tired and lethargic and not be able to function. And that might be your primary issue. So it's not whether one is more important. They're both important for our bodies to function. They do different things. So I would hate to if you're iron. So more people have vitamin D deficiency than an iron deficiency. So more vitamin D deficiency is an epidemic,
Mhm.
but iron deficiency, if it's critical. If your iron is low, you need to get that fixed right away. So it's not whether one is more important, it's which one is your issue, right?
Okay.
So both iron deficiency, so both of them will present as being tired,
Uh-huh.
both of them. So and I'm digressing with this, but if someone is just really, really lethargic and tired, you most of the time it's like check your iron first and then check your vitamin D. So it's not whether one is more important than the other. It's the function of your body and what's going on with you. So I'm saying that. And then it said about the last one was about absorption. I
Yeah.
don't so when with our bodies and they're so complex and they're so individual, if our systems overall are not functioning optimally, then they throw off other systems. And I'm going to say this about vitamin D. Vitamin D, so in our cells, we have vitamin D receptors. So if the receptors do not have what they need, then it will trigger other parts of your body not to function as it should. And with absorption, most of what happens when it comes to absorption is what's happening in our gut. So if we're
Mhm.
having absorption issues of any type, then we have to look at what is going on in our microbiome, what is going on in our gut. And that's a whole nother
Yes.
deeper dive, which I will can definitely get into the academy. But if anybody is having absorption issues of anything, then that's a deeper dive into again what is going on in the gut.
Okay, we are going to wrap up, but I have someone. I want to make sure you answer this question
Oh
because
wow, at a
heard
five.
her.
Uh-huh.
She's at 5, and she asked this question, and I want to make sure that you address it for her because she's very, very low. She
Okay.
has a 5,000 vitamin D and multivitamin, has 1,000 IUs in it, and vitamin K. Should she skip days of not taking 5,000 since the multivitamin already has 1,000 in it? Like I said, because she's so low, I wanted to make sure. I got you, Bianca, that you
Yeah.
answered the question.
Yeah.
For
So at a 5, you're needing a mega dose. So you need earlier today, or when we were on the call, they were saying that like taking 50,000 IUs in a week, you're so low that you have to get more into your body in a short amount of time so that you can bring it up faster.
Okay.
So even taking 5,000 every day is not giving your body a mega dose. So taking 5,000 or 6,000 every day, if your levels were up to par, is okay. But what you need is a mega dose at one time, like an infusion of vitamin D into your body. And I'm surprised that in this case, if your doctor knew that, well, I would say, how did you know it was at a 5? And if it were at a 5, did your doctor not offer you a mega dose?
That's a
Because
very good question. So yeah,
yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Like the 5,000 a day, that's for maintenance, right? If
yes,
your vitamin
correct.
levels, but yeah, I was thinking you probably need much more than that. So Bianca, you
Yes.
may let me see. Hold on. She answered for us. She has
I
500,000.
gotta look. Okay, I thought doesn't home, but I was afraid. No, 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 no.
But was afraid to take it because it's high.
You need
So
it high.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I think what she's saying, Bianca, is take it. If that's the prescription your doctor gave you, then take
Yeah.
it. So she's thinking that 50,000 is way
Yeah.
too high. But if your level is at five,
Way too low.
yeah,
Yes. You
it's
have to,
way too
yes.
low. Thank you. Then
But
take
that's
it.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that that came up because that helps other people. That 50,000 is what's called a mega dose. And when you're low like that, you need a mega dose to get vitamin D stores. So it's fat soluble. So when you take it, it stores. And that's what you need. You need it to store in your body and get to where it needs to be. So sometimes you're taking a mega dose for over weeks until it gets up to where you can then just do maintenance where you're just doing 5,000 a day. Yeah, but so yes, they gave you the 50,000, you got it. You should take that. Please do. Please do. And then when you're done with the 50,000, we want to be your vitamin D supplier and we can help you with that, but get to that mega dose. Get to that mega dose. Yep.
And how
Thank
can
you.
people, we're kind of wrapping up a little bit. How
I
can people,
know.
are you on Instagram?
I am
Uh,
on Instagram. So, necessaryvitamind.com is my website. And you can find me on Instagram at Nessie Nutri. So N is in Nancy, E, S is in Sam, S is in Sam, Y, Nutri on Instagram, at Nessie Nutri on Instagram. And then necessaryvitamind.com. We would welcome the opportunity to be your supplier of vitamin D, but not just your supplier of vitamin D, but your nutrition and wellness partner and resource. I love being able to support and answer questions and empower you when you go to your doctor with the questions to ask. So thank you so much for Karen the opportunity to be here. Like it went by so fast.
yes, oh my gosh,
And,
8 o'clock.
yes, and I
I
hope to see some of you all listening in the Curl House Academy so we can get deeper into
and
this.
you'll actually get to see, whereas now I see you and you see me, and what
Yeah.
we see are comments from our Curl House community. But in Let's Get Growing, we're actually on a Zoom, so it's much more intimate than the live format. But we're making this live format work now. Don't get it twisted. But in Curl House Academy, you will actually get to see people. Like that's why I really love the Academy because people know I like to connect with people. I am a people person. So I really like to connect with people. So in the Academy, you actually get to connect with the women. So just as we are wrapping up, I want to thank you again for joining us. I am looking forward to seeing you even more in our Let's Get Growing program that starts on April 16th. So if you all want more information on Let's Get Growing, then go to our website, www.curlhouseacademy.com. Right now, it's our early bird special because we have opened up registration for our April 16th. Early bird special ends the end of this week. Right now, the course is 20% off, so you can learn more and register at curlhouseacademy.com. And you will see the fabulous Robin
Thank
inside
you.
of Growing next month. But I thank you. You are awesome. I'm sure
Thank
it's
you
more
so much.
than 8 o'clock, and we're gonna wrap up.
Yes. We gotta
Yeah,
go
you know
eat. I
how
gotta
we
just have
do.
dinner.
We can teach all night. You know how we do. We can
I
talk, talk,
know.
talk, and teach
We
all
can
night.
talk and teach. I know.
Yeah, but we are going to wrap up. I thank you all. Thank you, MCL. Thank you so much. I enjoyed the panel
Oh, you're
discussion as well. Thank you. We appreciate it.
welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you all, and I will see you again next week. I'm going live again next week. I forgot what I'm talking about, but I will be here next week. It's today's Tuesday. I'm sorry. I'm going live on Friday, I think. I'm sorry. I'll see you again at the end of the week, Curl House community. Okay, y'all. Well, thanks again. Y'all have a fabulous evening. And thank you, Robin. I appreciate you too.
Peace and blessings. It was so much fun. It really was.
Fabulous.
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.